you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Caroline Alaconis, and I am a Senior Account Manager here at Academic Analytics. This is our second webinar of the Winter Coffee Break Analytics series. During the webinar, if you run into any technical issues, please reach out to Val Owens, who is our Business Engagement Specialist. You can message her directly through the chat feature. We are very excited to have a guest speaker from North Carolina State University, Kyle Miskell, who is their Director of External Awards and Faculty Recognition in the Office for Faculty Excellence. Kyle and my colleague, Allie Haskins-Lyle, one of our account managers, will be discussing strategies on building a culture of recognition at the institution and how academic analytics has helped to support these efforts. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. All attendees are on mute, but we welcome questions and feedback that can be sent via the chat. For any we are not able to address during the webinar, the account manager who works with your campus will reach out to follow up. And without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Kyle to get us started.
Thank
Kyle,
you, Caroline.
Sure, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will share my screen. Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you, Caroline, and thank you and the rest of the academic analytics team for putting on this webinar and all the webinars you do. I appreciate the opportunity to contribute to the conversation. I'd also like to thank Allie Haskins-Lyle. She's been my account manager ever since I started in this role, and she's been nothing but supportive and resourceful, and it's her fault I'm talking with you all today. So my name is Kyle Miskell. I'm the Director of External Awards at North Carolina State University. And it's a unique moment to be talking with you all, both for me personally and I think for the field of faculty recognition in general. I started in this role this past June, so about 8 months ago. And in that time, I've had the chance to develop processes and strategies. But of course, every award is different and every award cycle is different. So I continue to learn. I think that mirrors the field of faculty recognition in general. Of course, faculty have been applying to awards for decades now. But what's new are these institutional investments and incentives and infrastructure, including positions like mine. And before I get further into that, just a little background on me. I am from the Finger Lakes region of New York. I have a bachelor's degree from the George Washington University. And as of last spring, am a master's degree from NC State. But prior to assuming this role, I worked at the College of Veterinary Medicine for a number of years in the research office, where I worked on pre- and post-award grant work, oversaw the undergraduate research program, and assisted faculty with awards. And that college level experience has been very valuable for this university-wide position. Like many institutions, NC State is fairly decentralized, so the colleges have a lot of say in their operations. And that gave me a sense of how to navigate that, how to work with faculty, how to engage departments and committees and research offices, how to disseminate resources and information. It also gave me an appreciation of all the great work our faculty do. In my current role, I oversee the university's strategy in the space of external awards. Now, when we think of external awards, we're thinking of national and international honors, fellowships, and memberships, oftentimes government-sponsored or foundations or societies. I'm particularly interested in those that are designated prestigious and highly prestigious by the National Research Council. And just a little background on the position, it was created about 3 years ago at the behest of our chancellor. He understood that our faculty do great work in teaching and research and mentorship. They're leaders in their field, they have high scholarly impact, that they're worthy and deserving of recognition. Of course, they're busy doing all that work, that they don't really have the time to pursue awards. I've also found they're very humble. They're not in it for the honors, so they need someone to advocate and champion them. And this has multiple benefits. For the individual faculty member, it extends their scholarly impact. It connects them to a wider professional community and members' benefits. It offers learning opportunities for travel and collaboration, and it increases their visibility. And of course, when our faculty have increased visibility, so too does the university. And that's why this mission is part of our strategic plan. As an institution, we are committed to elevating our areas of excellence and research impact. We believe that institutional investments help promote the good work of our faculty and also amplify awareness of our university. We also hope that it demonstrates to our faculty that we believe in them, that we support them, which hopefully translates to higher faculty morale and higher retention. In terms of structure, I am part of the Provost's office, specifically the Office for Faculty Excellence, which is concerned with faculty affairs and faculty development. But as we all know, higher ed hierarchy never looks this clean, so it looks more like this. And my office is situated here, which is great because that means there's ample opportunities for collaboration and capacity building. And that's especially important considering I'm an office of one. NC State has 10 colleges, 60 departments, and over 2,000 faculty. So unfortunately, I can't help every single faculty member with every single award nomination. Mm-hmm. And that's where strategy and partnership and ultimately culture comes into play. And this is especially true for prestigious awards. In order to be considered a strong candidate for a prestigious award, a scholar has to have a strong award profile and have won awards along the way. And so engaging with departments and awards committees, colleges, research offices, building that pipeline, all of that comes into play. And they can help you reiterate that and underscore the importance of awards for faculty, not over the course of the career, not just as a one-off event. Mm-hmm. So I see my role as offering both service and strategy, helping specific faculty with specific nominations while also providing information and resources to all levels of the university to increase nominations in general. That includes having a dedicated award calendar for those prestigious awards. It includes application assistance for some of them, building that career pipeline so that one award leads to another and internal awards lead to external awards. And utilizing academic analytics, making sure those resources and information that academic analytics provides is disseminated and shared. So with that, I would like to offer some thoughts on ways to foster a culture of recognition. First and foremost, talk about them. Make them something salient to the faculty and something to strive for. Talking with faculty here, department heads here, I've learned that a lot of them include a conversation of awards in their annual reviews. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a perfect space for the faculty to think about their career in the next year, in the next 5 years, to identify aspirational peers and see what they're up to, and to identify colleagues they might want to nominate, because it's important to think of awards for yourself, but it's just as important to think of colleagues you might want to nominate. Serving on awards committees also is a great opportunity for the faculty member that can learn more about that process, learn how that side of things, but also they can take that experience and bring it back to their peers and bring it back to me. I know I've learned a lot from faculty serving on awards committees and sharing that insight with me. And with that in mind, establish an awards committee at the department level or at the college level. A lot of departments have awards committees dedicated to society level awards or internal awards, and that's important. But I think there's an opportunity for them to be a little more proactive, especially with the resources of academic analytics. I know when I meet with department heads, I like to share the suggested awards for those departments, department faculty, as well as those that are identified as under-awarded. So those faculty with high scholarly impact, but low recognition considering. Those are people you might want to prioritize. They might be a flight risk. So those are people the awards committee can work with to make sure they have a stronger profile. At the CVM, I also developed a database of all the CVs of our faculty. And that helped for multiple reasons. One, it identifies those people who are in which societies they're members of, which organizations they're members of, so you know which awards they're eligible for if membership's required. But also it lets you know who can nominate who, because oftentimes the nominator has to be a member as well. So knowing that is very helpful. The CVs also contain information on which colleges or which universities the scholar graduated from. And that's another opportunity for awards recognitions because a lot of universities have alumni awards. So you can look into that when you know that. And in the spirit of increasing recognitions, creating new ones. Ali made the point early in my tenure that if a university isn't recognizing their faculty internally, it's less likely they will be recognized externally. So creating new awards at the department level, the college level, the university level, at all stages of the career, early, mid, late, and different areas of impact, whether it's research or teaching or mentorship. I don't believe you can have too many awards. Establishing an awards calendar has been very beneficial for me. I'm oftentimes working on multiple awards, and so getting a handle of that, knowing when the deadlines are, knowing when to let the recommenders know when to have everything in, that's helpful. And memberships. For a lot of awards, in order to be eligible, you have to be a member. So making faculty aware of that is important, not only to be a nominee, but also to be a nominator. As I said, oftentimes the nominator, the letter writer, also has to be a member. And so just making faculty aware of that. And I think there's also an opportunity for institutions to potentially supplement those memberships. I know we've had a couple instances where we had faculty who would have been great candidates for certain awards, but they let their membership lapse in year 3 and they weren't eligible till year 4. And that's a shame because it's a missed opportunity. So making faculty aware of that and possibly supplementing them. And finally, celebrating your faculty. Recognize those recognitions. It's great that your faculty were recognized externally, but it's just as important to amplify that internally and make your community aware of that. Whether that be a website presence or a newsletter announcement, social media, award ceremonies, all these gestures matter. Here at NC State, every spring, we put on the Celebration for Faculty Excellence, where we recognize faculty that have won certain awards over the past year. And it's a wonderful event. It's very nice. There's a nice dinner. The chancellor speaks, the provost speaks. And as part of that, for certain awards, we light up the bell tower. The bell tower is the symbol of our campus, and it's only lit up for special occasions. And so the faculty member gets to choose a date and time. They have it lit up. They can invite their family and friends. They can take those photos, and it's very memorable. And it's just yet again another gesture that the faculty take away with them.
I love that. That's so cool.
All of these ideas for capacity and culture building were developed talking with partners on my campus, talking with peers at other institutions, and working with academic analytics. Academic analytics to me is 3 things. It's a tool, it's a database, and it's a community. As a tool, it helps me to strategize, to compare different scholars or different departments, to think about the career of a scholar and how one award can lead to the next, and to identify those suggested awards, those underawarded faculty, and those letter writers. It's also a database. When I first started in this role, I was trying to get a handle on the data we have historically, the previous winners we have, our areas of strength, all the governing body information. And after spending a lot of time going through different files and different spreadsheets, I realized that database I was trying to create already exists. Academic analytics does all that. Not only that, it's a living database. It updates itself, or someone updates it, but it's not me, and that's invaluable. And it's a community. Every month I meet with peers at other institutions through academic analytics where we have discussions like this, and that's always beneficial. But there's also a community on your campus who utilize academic analytics. Academic analytics is so big that I feel like people often focus on different slices of it. So it's always great to engage with different users and see how they're utilizing it. And of course, your account manager, they know a lot of how people are using it at your campus. And in fact, Allie got so sick of all my emails that we now have a dedicated monthly meeting. So I encourage you to work with your account manager to think about things, to strategize, and to know how to navigate the software.
And Kyle, I love your joke, but please reach out to your account manager if you do need help. We can never get too many emails from you if you have awards questions. That's really our at least my favorite thing to work on is awards. And so please utilize that relationship that you have with your account manager and get some assistance where you need it. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
You do other things besides awards, huh?
Yeah.
So just to bring all these ideas together, I wanted to highlight a couple of use cases. Right now we're in the nomination cycle for AAAS. It's due April 25th. And I started early. I started in about December because this is a pretty involved application. There's multiple things to think about. So I utilize academic analytics to identify potential candidates. I then take that and approach the department head to determine if this is the right moment for that scholar, if there's perhaps other scholars not on my radar. And then determining eligibility. This is one of those where you have to be a member for 4 years before you're eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So determining that takes some time. And that's true with the letter writers as well. Not only do they have to be a member, they have to be a previous recipient. And not only that, they can only be involved with 2 nominations. So again, that's that kind of drives home the point that it's important to get started early.
Mm.
AAAS is one of those where if you submit your application by a certain date, I think it's April 1st, you can get feedback on the application before the final due date. And a lot of awards are like that. So I would encourage you to determine that and get them in on time. In terms of academic analytics data I use, if I get 100 scholars as suggested candidates, that's great. But if I didn't mention them, I'm an office of one. So I have to prioritize. So I always start with a suitability index. The closer the scholar is to one suggests the stronger candidate they are. And the medium academic age. Academic analytics collects all the data on the previous winners, so they know at which stage of the career that the winners typically get recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's 25 years. So this person 5 years into their career, maybe it's not the right moment for them. Whereas this person 26 years in, they're right on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I also look to this information to identify letter writers. The letter writers are often one of the biggest hurdles for applications. You usually need multiple, you usually get a couple no's. So determining who to work with is important. And academic analytics makes that pretty easy. They identify those people in that scholar's orbit who have won this award before. So those people at the institution, within their department or unit, and people they've collaborated with. And that always stands out to me because that are people who not only are familiar with the work of that scholar, but knows what it takes to win that award. So they can speak highly of that scholar. So this person who has 16 collaborators who have won this award before, ample opportunity to find someone to offer a letter. The next person, even though they have a suitability index of 1, there's no scholars they've worked with, at least here. So it might be a little tougher.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to highlight this part. This is someone who's considered under-awarded, high scholarly activity, but low recognition considering. So this is someone you might want to prioritize. You want to make sure they feel seen, they feel invested in by the university. Maybe you don't start with AAAS given their low recognition, but that's not to say you can't. But again, academic analytics helps you identify that.
Mm-hmm.
And here's just what that looks like within academic analytics itself. And here's that prestige I'm interested in. Fulbright, another use case to highlight. In my role, I'm also the Fulbright Scholar Liaison for our campus. So Fulbright are those awards that sees faculty go to another country to do research or teaching. So it's a unique award. It's not one you apply to 2 months in advance. It takes a little bit more planning, but it's still an award we as an institution want people to be aware of. We want people to apply to. So it's about creating awareness around it and community around it.
Mm-hmm.
Fulbright's also unique in that there's a student side as well as an incoming faculty side, which means there's multiple offices on campus involved with Fulbright, which means there's multiple partners to work with. So I wanted to make sure we all work together to raise awareness of this award and pool our resources. So we're putting on a Fulbright week later in March where we're going to have an opening kickoff event, and then each day will be dedicated to one of those audiences. And then finally, we'll bring everyone together to talk about their experience or to talk about their interest. And this includes alumni. Fulbright has a proud alumni base, and it's something I think is one of the most valuable parts about it. And so in order to create awareness around this award, or in order to create community around this award, I thought it would be best to tap into that alumni network. Academic analytics was able to help me with that. Fulbright does have a database on previous winners, but it only captures those people who have won the award while at NC State. So it's not all the alumni on your campus, people who have won the award prior to joining NC State. So academic analytics was able to offer me a custom report where they identified all the people who have ever received Fulbright that are currently at NC State, which is great because now I get to invite them to all these events. These are just kind of highlighting the tools in academic analytics and how I utilize them. And just to wrap things up, I wanted to highlight future initiatives that I'm working on. I'm working to bring a faculty fellow into my office. If I didn't mention, I'm an office of one. And the faculty fellow would be a great resource for me, not only to engage with the departments, not only to engage with the committees, but to think about awards, especially if there's someone who's won awards previously, who served on awards committees. They can help me think about it in terms of the faculty's perspective. And they have the added benefit of serving as an ambassador for my office and helping to create that culture and create that awareness around this resource the university offers. I'm also looking into developing a new university level award. We have a lot of awards for research or teaching in other areas of impact, but again, you can't have too many. So creating more opportunities for faculty to be recognized. I'm also developing a toolkit for our awards committees and department heads that has information on how best to navigate academic analytics when it comes to awards, suggestions for developing awards culture at the department level, and ways to map out faculty careers where awards are part of the discussion. We do kind of already do that, where we map out a career and here's what you should be doing by year 5 or year 8, and making sure awards are integrated into that. We're also looking at opportunities to sponsor memberships for certain awards, because again, once faculty pay for their society level memberships or their other memberships, they kind of are done with that. But as a result, they limit their opportunities. So making sure that they don't fall through those cracks. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for being part of this discussion and happy to take any questions or suggestions.
Yeah, and Kyle, thank you so much. And while those questions are rolling in, I had one little show and tell to do. So I'll share my screen and then you can reshare yours when I'm done. I just wanted to provide one other method that's a little bit circuitous in how to look for awards for specific faculty members or even specific disciplines. Can you all see my screen of the portal? Okay, great. Thanks, Kyle. So this is an anonymous release, but when you come into the portal at your own institution, and you can go in and look at your own benchmarking units. This is a unit at a anonymized institution in the chemistry discipline. And I wanted to just call your attention to this honorific awards tab. This will give you some information about the awards that your unit and other units in the chemistry discipline around the country are winning. But what I wanted to specifically call your attention to is this honorific awards list. This is a great place to come to see what awards are being won by people in the discipline. You can sort by any of these columns here to see what are the really, I don't want to say popular, but the really high quantity awards that lots of chemistry scholars are winning, where you may be leaving some awards on the table that you could be pursuing. You can also sort in ascending order to see kind of what are the new awards or what are the emerging awards that people in this discipline are starting to gather. And so there's lots of different strategies that you can utilize in looking for awards for people in a certain discipline. The other thing that I wanted to mention that Kyle kind of touched on in the Research Insight tool is when you come to a scholar's profile and navigate to that suggested honorific awards tab, these 3 columns are really helpful. And I know Kyle kind of touched on some of the things that you can do as far as looking at these collaborator recipients and contacting them about intel for application or even serving as nominators. But having this column here of people at your institution who are recipients, this can be really helpful for spearheading any sort of awards initiative you have, because these people at your institution have won the award. And so contacting them about, hey, we want to increase our Fulbrights, we want to increase our AAAS fellows, like we need help with strategizing this and help fostering that culture. That can be a really helpful place to start as well.
And Allie, while you're there, could you also highlight the data center?
Yeah, sure. Let me reshare my screen. So in the data center, and depending on the level of access that you have, you can come here to the data center and then come to the downloads. And you can download the Excel files that support the visualizations that you'll see in the portal. So if you just wanted to see all of the suggested awards for people at your institution, you could download it here. I'd also encourage you to kind of lean on your account manager as well if you find that you don't have access to this, or if you want additional detailed information like the suggested awards for a scholar along with their awards quadrant that they're allocated to. That's something that we can provide custom for you through your account manager, so that at a glance you'll be able to see, is this person under awarded? And what kind of awards are they suggested to pursue?
Thank you, Allie.
Yeah, sure.
So we've had a lot of questions come in. I think we're only going to be able to address a few of these with the time that we have left. One of the most common questions has been, are the slides going to be made available? And yes, they will. We will make sure to follow up with you all to get a copy of those. A question that came in, Kyle, is how is your awards committee structured? Is it a Senate committee? How many members? And are they compensated?
Well, we do have awards committees for the internal awards here at the university, but the departments do have, oftentimes have an awards committee. They're typically a year-long service, and they're typically situated around either internal awards or society member awards. But I'm trying to encourage them to be a little more proactive. And that's kind of what I touched upon, sharing that suggested awards list, sharing those under-awarded faculty, developing those CVs. And I know here at the CVM, there's a person who's a little more, turning more attention to awards at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that comes in is how you go about obtaining funding for the awards the university offers.
That's a good question. A couple of years ago, actually, an outside organization approached us and said they wanted to fund certain awards for this discipline, which was a nice surprise. Not everyone has that opportunity, but we do for this new university level award I'm suggesting, for instance, we are looking to kind of move funding around to make that available. Same with, I think someone asked about how did you make the pitch on sponsoring memberships? Same type of deal. I made that pitch. I asked if there's any way we can sponsor 10 faculty members for 2 years or something, where their membership's covered for 2 years up until and through the application itself. So not guaranteeing that they'll be covered for the length of it, but at least making sure that they're put in a position for success.
So Kyle, for that, do you use like a suitability index that's like approaching being high and the collaborator count is there? And so you're thinking ahead, like, okay, 2 years from now, this person is going to be like checking all the boxes and we need to make sure their membership's current, or how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because we can't do it for all of them, because if, we're a big institution, so that would be hundreds of people. One thing though for AAAS is there's different levels of membership, and you don't have to be at the $200 level membership. You can be at one of the lower ones. But it's a good question, because it depends on your priorities. Maybe you want to prioritize someone who's under awarded, or maybe you want to prioritize someone of a certain background. So it depends.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do one last question and then wrap things up. Kyle, how did you set up your awards calendar? Was it one award at a time, or is there a place to download the submission info?
I looked at, it'll depend on your institution and kind of your, what your institution emphasizes, like what they're good at. So I looked at our previous success, what awards we've had success with in the past. But I also look at, if I'm planning it out and I see that, the month of February, for example, there's only really one award involved, Then I'll just kind of peruse academic analytics, see what's due in February, and see if we have anyone who's eligible for that award in February. You can think about it two ways. You can start with an award and identify scholars that way, to identify candidates that way, or you can start with a scholar and identify awards for that scholar. So in terms of the calendar, I often think of starting with the award and identifying the scholar.
All right. Well, thank you, Kyle, for answering those questions. I know several have come in. As I mentioned before, if there are questions we haven't been able to get to, we will make sure that the account managers who work with your campuses will reach out to follow up with you on those. And just one thing here, I wanted to share my screen just to close this out as far as some information about our next webinar. But first off, thank you, Kyle and Allie, for the fantastic presentation. And thank you all so much for attending. This was quite a large group of attendees, and I hope you all found this to be informative. Also, a special thanks to Val Owens and Bridget Evans for handling all the logistics to make this happen. We hope to see you at our next webinar taking place on March 14th, and this will be on our new Industry Insight product. Thank you again, and we will hopefully see you all next month. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.